Hey guys, it's John. So everywhere from the Bible to Native American lore to scientists who believe in various versions of the evolutionary theory believe that there are soulless people who walk among us. That there are people who have souls and there are people who do not have souls. And what I'm about to say may offend some people, but I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to make you ask questions. And so today we're going to talk about this idea of NPCs in the real world. And also we'll touch a little bit on Dolores Cannon and her backdrop people idea as well. So, assuming that soulless people actually do exist, then I have this theory that there are two different types of NPCs in the world. The ones that are victim of social and governmental engineering for their life path. They basically drink the Kool-Aid and they follow the scheme, and they're manipulated by the propaganda. They're highly influenced by the media, by the trends, by all the news, and they do their best to fit in because they honestly believe that that's going to be the best way that they get the ideal life that they want and the ones that all of their friends have. They follow the agenda and the path that has been, sort of engineered and constructed for them because that's all they really know how to do, and that's one version of NPC. The reason they're an NPC is because they're so conditioned and programmed that they can't really think on their own. They can't really formulate their own ideas. They can't overcome obstacles that people who don't necessarily follow that path can overcome. They jump from partner to partner in the dating world, and they stay in the same job, and they go down the same academic paths as their peers and their family before them, and they rely heavily on money from their family, and they're unable to really make their own way. They have to be told what to do, and that's what makes them an NPC, which in the end means non-player character. So when it appears that you are being played by the system, in my mind, that makes you somewhat of a non-player character. And I'm not saying that makes you any less human, as in you're not soulless, but you are definitely a version of NPC that I wouldn't necessarily count on in a zombie apocalypse. I'll just say it like that. The other version of NPC is more in line with the simulation theory. So if you don't really believe in the simulation theory, then this might not really vibe with you. If you do believe in the simulation theory, then this will probably make a lot of sense to you. The idea is that there are actually NPCs who are soulless beings walking among us, and they don't really exist in reality at all. They're figments of our imagination. And this goes hand in hand with Dolores Cannon and her idea of background people, who are people or backdrop people who are projections of energy from our brain onto the plane that we exist in. and they are fake, and they're different for everybody. Basically, everybody has their own projections of energy, especially if you're able to create these NPCs with your energy. Then you will see your own, and they are actually not real at all. And we just think they're real. Just like when we are reading words on a page, it tends to flow, and we formulate voices and ideas and imagery that isn't there by using our imagination. It's the same kind of idea as that. It also goes along with mechanisms that mask pain, such as adrenaline, where we convince ourselves, we don't really convince ourselves, I guess, but we definitely have a mechanism that creates for us a different reality in our own body and in our own brain than is existing in real life. If you get your arm mauled off by a bear but you're not feeling it, it's not because your body is not in pain. It's because it has been masked and created so that you don't feel the pain right away, so that you may still be able to escape with your life. It's that sort of idea. There is a third idea that I have that kind of goes along with the second one, which is there are just literally animatronic AI-driven beings walking among us. And though I'm not exactly sure how advanced technology is in that realm, it's completely possible that in various parts of the world or parts of the city that there are animatronic spies among us. Before everybody goes and says that I'm crazy, I don't think that the powers that be are necessarily spying on us for malicious intentions, but more for a testing intention, trying to test technology similar to many of the UFO sightings that people experience. So those are the 2/3 main ideas that I have for NPCs. And what's important to realize is that we must avoid the autopilot at all costs. I think when people start following the trends and when people start being unable to empathize, and when people begin to really focus on nothing more than what they're being told, what the news is saying, what the agenda is telling you to do, and you find your job or you start your college education and you just grind, that's when the first version of the NPC settles in, and it becomes a way of life. It becomes a sort of you're unable to escape it. It becomes the autopilot, and you're no longer confronted with difficult choices that you have to make on your own. Everything is sort of made for you. I have a college degree. I went to college and got my degree in criminal sciences, and I was also in military intelligence in the Army. So I have my own set of engineering that I have gone through. And having come out the other side, this is sort of this is a theory that I have that I'm bringing to you, because this is Food for Thought episode 2, and this is what we do on Food for Thought. We think. So how do you spot an NPC? This is something that I've been trying to really zero in on lately, because I'm not entirely convinced of the simulation theory. I'll just come out and say it. I'm not entirely convinced. I do know people who are, and I do understand why you would, but I, in my soul, am not ready to believe in the simulation theory yet. I think there is more. And that does not necessarily mean that it's impossible for me to believe in sort of animatronic or programmed NPCs. I still believe our technology in the world is to a point where that can exist without the simulation theory as well. But it forces me to look harder. Without the simulation theory, you can't lean on the explanation that these things are fake and among us. You have to zero in on it yourself. You have to scope them out and find them. And I'm going to tell you a brief story to close out this food for thought that relates to how you find them. So a few months ago, I was online on my social media, and I was looking for a friend that I had had for many years prior in my past life. And I had, through no fault of either of ours, in my opinion, we just sort of drifted apart somehow. Maybe he fell off my Facebook page, maybe I fell off of his. We didn't ever really talk since, we lost contact, obviously. So we had no idea what was going on in each other's lives. And I had an idea sparked in my brain that I wanted to rekindle my friendship with him. So I went online where I knew him, and I had met him in person before, but it had been obviously a very long time. I went online to try to find him. I could not find him. He was gone completely. By all the names that I knew him by, some of them real, some of them fake, I could not find him. I couldn't find any obituaries. I couldn't find anything anywhere. And then about a week later, I get a friend request from him, and we immediately spark up a conversation. And in my mind, I was just like, wow, what a strange coincidence. I was just looking for you. And he tells me this story about this tragic story that I'm not going to share just in case he is real. But I do have my doubts. And these doubts came later when I did the same thing for another person. And this other person, I was looking for her. I was trying to find what happened to her. She was somewhat of an activist and was really active during all of the riots under the past president, and she was going crazy online all the time. She had some radical ideas, and I wanted to see what happened to her because a lot of people I know who were in that position did not fare very well after all of that, and I wanted to see where she was. Couldn't find her, could not find anything on her. And again, I consider myself a pretty good researcher and sleuth, I guess you could say, online. So I used all my skills to try to find her. Nothing. And then only days later, I'm not even joking, but only days later, she pops up and her Facebook has all of a sudden become reactivated. And she has a post saying, I've been gone, but now I'm back, at least for a little while. Why? At this point, my gears start turning, and I start to I start to think about things differently. And it seems now that twice in a matter of a month or two, somebody who I know has disappeared came back, had some sort of weird excuse for why they were gone, but now they're back in my life somehow. And it's as if it's because I was looking for them. A few days ago, me and my wife were looking for a friend that we had, a pseudo friend, an acquaintance, and we were trying to figure out what happened to her as well, because she was gone from our medias. And I had met her in person as well, and so I knew that she was a real person. But she was completely gone, completely inactive on the one account that we did find. And then only days later, so I receive a friend request from her on Facebook. And when I look at her account, There's no interaction on her Facebook page whatsoever. It's as if she's been ghost posting. What is going on? So now I'm really thinking and I'm really questioning the reality of things, because it seems like some people do only exist when you look for them. When you search for them, the program gives them. So I know this doesn't really answer the question, how do you spot them? But that is one way that I consider spotting them. When you look for them hungrily, you may find them, but they may not be who you think they are. I could insert that age-old parental warning, be careful who you talk to online. But what do you do when you think that those people have been your friends for a long time, and all of a sudden it appears that they're not real at all? Question everything, and don't drink the water.